How you doing out there, folks? Yep, it's me again. This is the Invisible Man versus Merrick, Bank, and the Robot, Part 10. So in case you missed these, here's a chance to see another one. This one I'm going to try to make a little more interesting, something a little bit different, Now, invisible. What's the difference between invisible and transparent, right? I thought they were about the same, but I realize it's not so. If something's invisible, you can't see it with the human eye. Now, transparent means the light can pass through something. It also means you don't have nothing to hide. Like if I say I'm transparent, I don't have nothing to hide. It can be referred to like that. A good example, let's see. Trying to think of a good example. Okay, if you have a pitcher of water, in a clear pitcher on the table, you can see through it, so it's transparent. Now, anything on the other side of it, you can see it. That means you can see through the water, but it might be blurry. It won't be blurry. That's a good example of transparent. Now, let's see. Invisible. Now, I've been having, say I have pain in my knees. You can't see it. You can't see it with the naked eye. Like I went for an MRI, and between 1 to 4, I had a 4. That means I'm going to need a knee replacement at some time. But you can't, it doesn't show the pain. Because I know. By whatever that MRI says, that I should have pain. Because of that. Because I'm like in a clinical trial now, and they gave me a smartphone to keep a diary every day. This is going to go on for 6 months. And from 1 to 10. So now say I put 5. Another day I put 6, depending on how bad the pain is. That proves it right there. This is a clinical trial. They can't tell the pain that I'm feeling. It's invisible to someone else. I'm feeling it. But you could look at me, and you could look at my knee, and you can't see the pain. So it's invisible. I'm just mentioning it because of this, since I've been doing this Invisible Man, videos about this. See now, Merrick Bank, they're not transparent. Because they got something to hide. And they're hiding behind those calls that they're making. All those harassing phone calls. So I just want to bring that up because I've been discussing these harassing phone calls. That's what this has been all about. I start thinking about, that what's invisible and what's transparent, So now, is a ghost invisible or transparent? That's if you believe in ghosts. Ghosts are invisible. I think so. But again, you may be able, say a seance, if there was such a thing, and someone comes forward, through the seance, you might see something. They used to say people would be taking pictures, and then when they developed the picture, you would see like a ghost in the picture, that they were there when you took it. I don't know how real that is, but it showed up there, so that they weren't invisible then. It showed up on the photograph. I had that happen to me once. Years ago, when me and Marie first started going together, we moved into a townhouse, and we started hearing all kind of noises, and the lights were flickering, and I didn't know what it was. I thought it was an old house, and we thought there was something wrong. So I started investigating in the neighborhood. This is over 40 years ago. Nobody knew anything about the house. Anything happened there? And finally, I talked to a lady. She said her grandmother said 2 people, were living there about our age, and they were fighting all the time. And the husband gave his wife a big diamond ring. and they were fighting. He wanted it back to give it to his new girlfriend, and she said, "No, it's mine. You're not getting it." And they were fighting and all, and he pushed her down the steps. He took the ring off her lifeless finger, and he gave it to the other woman. It was an investigation, but they couldn't prove anything in those days. It proved that it was an accident. And then this is in the house. This happened in the house where we were living. So I started saying, "Let me take some pictures, through the house." And I did take pictures with my Polaroid. And I noticed on one of the pictures, none of them came out but one, and it looked like on the end where the emulsion was, it looked like a picture of a woman, dressed in Victorian clothes. And I showed it to Marie, and she said, "Yeah, don't you see on her finger? It looks like she's got a ring, like the ring you gave me." I said, "I don't know." Then I, took some pictures outside later on. Nobody was home. I was taking of the front of the house, and then all those pictures came out. And I showed it to Marie when she came home. "Don't you see at the window? It looks like somebody's looking out the window." I said, "Well, I didn't notice it because Marie wasn't there and I was outside." So I still have those pictures, but the one that we thought was the ghost, well, I still have it. It just looks like maybe it was the emulsion. It was outdated film. But it just seemed a coincidence of what happened there, So finally we had the house blessed and all, and there was no more noises, no more nothing. Seems like that woman, if she had, died in that house, was trying to tell us, something. Because I had given Marie a big diamond ring. And, we were about their age and everything. And maybe once she let us know what happened, well, she was able to cross over. But I just mentioned that now because of talking about ghosts and talking about transparency and visible and all that. And that's why I'm doing this, to try to, I am transparent because I have nothing to hide. Even though you say I'm hiding behind this disguise. But Merrick Bank and all those banks that want to use that auto dollar, that's what they're hiding behind. You don't see anybody. They're invisible. So I just wanted to go over that, right now, just to think about that, about this, what's invisible and what's transparent, So actually about that, what I was telling you about that, where we lived at, because Marie had wrote our memoirs, and one of the chapters in the book 1 was Ghost in the Townhouse. That was one of the chapters. She had written 3 stories about us. She divided it up. This was a few years ago when, everything was going all right. We had time then. Nothing was going on. So I'll go into that later on about all that. When I'm not doing all these videos about this Merrick Bank. Now let's see. Let's get back to this now. We were together over 40 years. And we lived together as man and wife. Everybody knew it. We didn't have a marriage license. We didn't need it. So that's the situation, but we each had our own account. We had all her accounts and I had mine. And we combined our money. Because individually we wouldn't be able to live the way we did. Have everything and all by sharing everything. Because if we would have got married and had the marriage license and contact Social Security, we would have got one check for both. So that means, I'm just going to give an example. Combined, we would get $1,600. If I would have contacted Social Security that we were married, might only get $1,200 a month. So that's the decision that we made. Because I contacted Social Security after Marie passed away. They told me, you don't have a marriage license, you can't get the survivor's benefit. I can't get $255? No, I can't get it. I can just have my Social Security now. That's why I'm having a problem not being able to pay all the bills. So what I did was I got a lawyer to take care of it. I was lucky to find one. He's very good. He's what you call, I guess, a consumer advocate attorney. He fights for the rights of, the consumer. And he doesn't charge. No fee. Even if he gets your money, he don't charge. The banks have to pay. Have to pay him. They have to pay the court costs. They have to pay, pay us if we would get any money. And if this lawyer would get any money for you, he doesn't take a percentage either. So I'm going into all that now. Because years ago when I had a problem with credit cards, I didn't get a lawyer. I didn't get a lawyer because I figured I couldn't afford it, and I didn't think I needed it, so I would send cease and desist letters. You send it by certified mail with a return receipt. So, and you keep a copy of it, and all you have to say is cease and desist all communications with me, and that's really all you have to do. Now, a creditor don't have to abide by that. That's what these laws are. See, that's where the problem is with these creditors and debt collectors. The debt collector has to honor that. So I sent it to debt collectors, and they honored it. But, again, that's to say, there's where the line, with the laws, the Federal Debt Collection Practices Act. See, it says debt collection. See, because even though creditors are trying to collect the debt too. I mean, some of the things, like they're not supposed to call you before 8 a.m. or after 9 p.m. They're not supposed to. So they have 13 hours to call you. So I mean, why do they need to call you before that or after that? So this is where, and this Merrick Bank or any other bank that uses unethical tactics, well, they're using those tactics because they know it works for them, I guess. You know how bad they must want to call you? That the law says they're, about calling you using an auto dialer. They're not supposed to do that unless they get your permission. So what do? They get your permission. That's why they want it. But that does not mean they can still harass you because they get your permission. Oh, I give you Merrick Bank permission to harass me. Now you think that's what you're doing in a sense. But that's where the gray area is. That's why you need a lawyer. Because he can handle that. He knows how to handle it. He knows it. He knows the letter of the law. He has access to the legal system. So that's why I'm doing all this about harassing phone calls. I go off on tangents and all like I just did. See, because Merrick Bank, remember I mentioned about transparent and invisible? See, Merrick Bank is not transparent because they're unethical. And if you're transparent, you are ethical because you have nothing to hide. Merrick Bank, like I said, they're hiding behind these robocalls and all. So I know this has been going on for a while. This is nothing new. I've experienced it through my whole life. This time, the last 8 years or so, I've had our accounts being paid on time. Our credit score was not that good, but they were being paid on time, somehow. Because we had a lot of accounts, we both did. They have these accounts, I guess they're catalog accounts, mail order. You have a parent company, they give you an account. They send you a catalog. Then you start paying, then they send you another account. They're all under the same company. So then they have a bank that runs it. But they're not like this. Those accounts are different. But you have to buy from them, remember that, right? Yes, so what happens is, you're paying them, and they don't charge that much interest either. They don't charge interest, they don't even charge late fees. Those accounts aren't that bad. And they don't be calling you either like that. They do call if you're late, but not like that. And they don't use an auto dialer. Someone might call you and leave a message, because I've had it happen already. And then say we owe $200 like now. Those accounts that we couldn't pay because Marie passed away that I couldn't pay, that are store accounts, not MasterCard, Visa. I'm getting bills every month, and all it does is, if you owe $25 a month, next month is $50, then $75. It keeps going until it finally, say you owe $200. When it gets to $200, that's what you owe. If you don't pay it by then it goes to collection. But they're sending you a lot of letters instead of calling. They call them the Dooning letters because they're just telling you, well, if you don't pay, it's going to go to collection and you're going to have calls. And then they say that you won't be able to get a loan, you won't be able to buy a house. You know, they put all these things in these letters. And that's the different way. But I'd like it better that way. That's what these banks like Merrick banks should be doing. Try something like that. Send you the letters and all. Try to find out why you're not paying or you can't pay. I think they ought to do that first. No, they don't do that. As soon as it becomes late, all they do is the calls start. And on the cell phone and the landline, because once I had gotten a lawyer to all these other accounts, got resolved one way or another. And I kept paying Merrick Bank because I had a card. I was an authorized user. I figured I had too many accounts as it was. I wanted to, because I did, in some of the cases from the lawyer, I did get some money. So I had a little extra money, so I figured, well, I could keep paying Merrick Bank, for now. And then I decided after, I guess, a few months I was paying. After Marie passed away, I kept paying. And what happened? I couldn't pay? They don't know if it was Marie or me. That's what I'm saying. They should have tried to make contact. As soon as it gets late, before it goes, to the calling, they should send it to them representatives, those call takers, that all they're doing now is taking incoming calls, but they're not putting any calls out. They should have a call, somebody call, representative try to call you. They have the numbers, and just leave a message and see if they can resolve some of the cases. They probably could. Because if they would have called me and I told them that Marie passed away, they already would know that they're not going to be able to do too much with it. So calling wouldn't do them any good to keep calling me. And me with a lawyer and everything. They could have saved themselves litigation. Because they would have figured that way they wouldn't have did that. But by go ahead and using the calling and not trying to find out why, that's what this predicament that it causes. So now calling me, I'd say, well, it was directed to Marie because it's her account. They start calling in November. It was for a couple of weeks. I let it go because I said, wait a minute, on both phones? I'm keeping a phone log, so I knew about it. I'm saying, oh no. I could tell the way it was. They called me on the landline and the cell phone the same day, of course. I know one day I just looked at it because I went over the phone log. I didn't realize it because I had two phone logs, one for the cell phone and one for the landline. I realized, I said, oh, they called 7 times in one day. They were calling in the morning on the cell phone, afternoon on the landline, and again in the evening, they would call, say, 7 o'clock on the landline and maybe 7:25 on the cell phone. Now look at that. Sitting there with all them calls like that. Now that's not harassment. That's what they want to do. They want to harass you. There's no doubt about it, But if nobody goes after them, you don't get legal help. You can't do it. You might be able to stop them. But if you tell them to stop, they're supposed to stop. If you talk to them. That's another reason why they don't want you to contact them. That's the reason why they don't leave a message and they don't let you talk to them. If you do make contact with one of those representatives, you have to have it written down who you talked to, that you told them not to contact you anymore by phone. That they could contact you by mail, that would be all right. But you should record that too. Like I'm doing, I record it. You could be recorded like this. See the way I'm on front of the camera with the tablet? You could have your phone there. You could be talking to them and telling them not to call, and you could have it on recorded. So if they try to deny, and then they call you after that, you have a case against them. So I'm bringing up all this stuff because it has something to do with these harassing phone calls. Okay, so I ended up contacting a lawyer about this Merrick Bank and those calls. And they're really calling me because the phone numbers are in my name, and they don't know they weren't calling Marie. So I took the I got the lawyer. He's in my behalf. So when he put my name for that account, I'm an authorized user, and because they're harassing, I'm getting the harassing phone calls. I definitely am getting them because Marie's passed away. She can't be getting them. I'm getting them because this happened after she already passed away. So whether they know it or not, that's their fault. It's up to them to know that. I was paying it, so why would I notify them? Now I got a lawyer. He notified them about the calls. He doesn't want to compound the issue. He has to go to the laws involved. Now he's got them for calling me. He put some of the times down. That's why it's important to have the phone log. He put that on the litigation. And it's also on there that they're calling me about somebody else's bill. And that's not allowed either. So, like I said, I'm an authorized user, but I'm not the card holder. I'm not a co-signer. They really can't hold me responsible, yet they still have to acknowledge the fact that that account is valid, and I'm on it, and I received the calls that they made. And the calls are intended to annoy us both. If Marie was here, she would have had to put up with it. I'm glad she didn't have to put up with it. Because if she would have been here and she wouldn't have passed away, I would have been paying it. This would never happen. I'd just keep paying like I paid all the other bills. Because it was double the credit line. After the first 7 payments, then it went from $600 to $1,200. So I was going to keep paying it anyway because of that. But I kept paying after Marie passed away. Marie wanted that account. It came in her name, and she wanted it. I couldn't. It made her happy, and also I wanted to see her happy. I could know I could pay it. From the money I can transfer them back and forth. It was a no-frills account. There's all the add-on charges and everything, and no cash back or none of that. Nothing. But they gave double the credit line. They gave you more credit. That's all. They charged late fee and everything else. So she wanted it. We got it. She was happy. She picked the card design and all. She picked an eagle with a flag. Let's see. I think I have it here. Let's see if it'll show up here. I say I got these gloves. I'm invisible. If I didn't have the gloves, you wouldn't be able to see it. Let's see here. Speaking of seeing it, there we go. I don't know where I can get it on here. There we go. I want to be able to see it. Yeah, there it is. Merrick Bank. There's her name. There's the account number. And it's expiration June 2023. Now, I have the exact same card. I'm showing this because it does exist. This Merrick Bank, This is not something that I made up, that I am on it. I'm definitely on it. She authorized me. So let's see. There we go. See if I can get it. Let's see. There we go. So this is the one in my name. See it? Same account number and all. And there it is. See it? It's hard here the way the light is. You can see it's got the chip and all. There's the eagle with the flag. Visa. So I still have the cards. Okay, so that's that. So now in this account, well, you can see now that everything is proven here. And now, let's see, go back to this again with the calls. Now I'm an authorized user, and I got all the calls. Whether Marie got it or not, they still made those calls using the auto dialer. Marie signed, up for this account. Was pre-approved. Well, it did say on there, it said about you have to give permission that they can call you on the cell phone using the auto dialer and text message. You have to agree to that. She didn't want to, do it at first. I said, well, Marie, she said, what happens if I don't agree? If you don't agree, they're not giving you the account. She said, what, they can do that? I said, yeah. And they know most people are going to sign it because they wanted the credit. So she said, okay, I'll check it. I don't care about that. You got to make 7 payments, and then we get 600 more. That's all she wanted, So that's what we did. But then I thought about it, and I don't know if that's correct. Because they say you have to get permission, the law. But that permission wasn't valid because they combined it with that offer. That should have been separate. That should have been done separately. Even if there was another page or something else, it said that this company's our provider and they need your permission to make the calls. Now, if they have a provider to do that, a service or whatever you want to call it, a vendor or what, to make those calls, using that equipment, well, then they have to get the okay. So if Merrick Bank did it that way, that's not correct. So if they're making those calls now, we can say those calls, the permission wasn't granted then because it's not valid. So they're calling without permission in a sense. And plus, I didn't give permission. Marie gave me permission to use her account. But I didn't give Merrick Bank permission to call me on the auto dialer. And plus, the phone numbers are in my name. I don't know what that has to do with it, but they're valid because when the cards came, I told Marie, sign your card, I'll sign mine. And then I had to activate it. Or I activated for her. You only activate one card. They're the same account number. Once you call it up on one of the phone numbers, right? That's why you have to have that makes the phone that they know the phone number is good because you're calling on it. They capture that. When you call it in to activate the card, you had to use. I think I did it on the cell phone. Just so happens whatever I had there was convenient. When I punched all the information in, because I know all the information, then it says your cards are all active now. You can use them. So after that was it. Then we used them. We ordered what she wanted. I told her be careful when you order over the phone. Don't give your personal information. And I bought things for the house, and I paid other bills. Remember I was telling you all about those other credit cards? Yeah, I paid them. They don't have a balance transfer. That's one of the things. Remember I said about the frills? They don't have that. So I said, well, I can still use that account to pay the other cards. Those catalog cards. Maybe 25 here, 30, 25, like that, or 20. So I noticed I did it. So I figured I could keep that money. I can eventually pay off some bills, that we owe. Some of those smaller ones, the small amounts. And I noticed on the statement, they charged a cash advance fee. They charged $5 for each one. So if I paid 4 of them, that was another $20. Cash advance. We never got cash on those cards that we had. Never. Now they got a cash advance fee. I didn't say anything because I wanted to, I'm transferring the balance in a way, but not at once. I would have been better to take one of them and just pay $100 and pay the $5, right? And then do another one, the next time. Meaning I could still keep paying the other ones from our money. But I let it go. Then I wasn't going to keep doing that. That's a cash advance fee on every one of those. So this is the things that they do. So back to this thing now with this account, We use it and all, and no problems. I mean, listen, we got sick and passed away. All the credit cards in the world can't bring her back. So, I'm more concerned with that. You lose a loved one, that's not something that, you can get over that easy. I'm still grieving, I miss her a lot, and And doing this, well, it's helping me, kind of express myself, so that I'm doing something. That's why I'm trying to make everybody aware of this. People may not think this is important. Everybody's got credit cards and all, and they can't pay. They don't worry about it until you can't pay. You can't pay. I'm not saying all these banks, but see, the lawyer I have, he's a consumer advocate attorney. He goes after them, He goes after these banks. These are the banks that he goes after, like Merrick. That's one of the ones. There's other ones. I had other ones that he dealt with. I had another one of them banks. When I gave him all the, the banks and all the calls and everything, he got one of them. I had 3 accounts over 8 years. 3 accounts from the same bank, but they were 3 different companies. And it took a little while, it took a few months. They didn't make, I don't think they made as many calls as this Merrick Bank is making. But they work all different kind of deals. He'll work different deals with them. That one, I had 3 accounts. This was in my name and all. And he got them to mark paid. So that's like $3,000. Mark paid. The bank marked it paid. So they know it. Supposedly I should never get any collection or anything from that one because it's marked paid. All 3 of them accounts. He got paid. His attorney fees and the court costs got paid. And no more calls, that's for sure. That's over. And I even got paid. So this is what can happen. That's why it's important that you do something about it. And you don't have to take it. You might, depending on what violations, and the lawyer has to prove it. And the burden of proof is on Merrick Bank here. Did they make the calls or not? If they're going to say they have permission, well, I don't know if that's going to count because they combined it with that offer. I don't know if it's going to count. I think because they want to call. No matter what the law says that you can't use an auto dialer to call on the cell phone and leave text messages. I think because the telephone laws are different, because if they try to call you on the cell phone, it doesn't come up on the caller ID. Maybe some phones now might. I don't know. Some cell phones might. I don't know. But on the cell phone I have, it never did. If someone calls me, it just, the number comes up. If a friend calls me and it's 267, it might come Pennsylvania. So if I know who it is, then I can punch in their name. So the next time they call me, it'll come up their name and the number. But if Merrick Bank calls on the cell phone using the auto dialer, or even if they don't use it, if it's an 800 number, the number might just come up with nothing else but the number. But if they use a different number, it might come up with a state, underneath it. Or if they star 67, I think it is, if they have it set up that way, it's going to come restricted. Then you can do nothing. You don't know who it is. Restricted, you can't even add it into your contacts because you can't do nothing. You could write it down, you could put the date and the time, and there's no number, and you could put restricted for the number. You could still do it that way, if you're keeping the phone locked. Merrick Bank was using all these different numbers. They were using, I think, 6 different numbers. See, on the landline, their name comes up. See, there's where the law's a little different. They're supposed to put the name of their business on the landline and their phone number. And I know that doesn't happen. I'm getting calls now from different if they put anonymous. Anonymous? Well, they put out of area. They put all kind of things on the caller ID, and that's not right. That's not correct. That's a violation right there. And any number they want to put your calling number back is disconnected. So these are the things that why these banks get away with a lot of this stuff. The tactics that they use. Okay, back to these calls again. So in November, altogether, after I contacted the lawyer, I got more calls until it stopped. As soon as I contacted him, The cell phone stopped first, the calls, and then the landline, a couple of days later. Now I got 19 calls on the cell phone and 43 on the landline. Now that's not an awful lot of calls in a couple of weeks. Just think, what happens if I would end up getting paid for them calls? Then you're saying, oh, you should have let it go longer. And then you would have got more money. But it doesn't, this way, because I'm transparent, so I wouldn't do something like that. Because I'm ethical. So I wouldn't do that. I waited as quick as I could. I couldn't stand the calls anymore. And I'm expecting calls, and I don't want them blocking up my line like that either. And I know what it's for. So I waited, and right away I had the lawyer, so I got to him, and I had to type up all, the phone log and all, send it to him. So then that was done, and everything stopped. And he had the litigation in already, and litigation is for the calls, it's for the, that's not in my name, it's a whole bunch of harassing calls besides, using the auto dollar, I guess it's all that, I don't know the exact laws and all that. And he requests at the end, I'm the plaintiff for a jury trial. Of course, I want a jury trial. Because I don't think they're going to do that. They're going to try to settle it out of court. They'd rather do that, I think. So we'll see what happens with that. That's pending, so I don't know. But now to top it all off, now I wasn't doing these videos. I wasn't doing videos back in, when they start calling me, I wasn't doing videos in November. I got the lawyer, he stopped it right, it stopped. That's it, let him work on it. Didn't bother too much. Back and forth, if anything he needed, call me or what. So what happened was, nothing was quiet. So in the beginning of January 2020, actually January 2nd, the phone rings. I just thought it was either a clinical trial or something, whatever I'm waiting for, No, it says Merrick Bank on the caller ID. I said, oh no. I knew it was going to start as soon as I saw it. I said, okay, well, remember, they probably didn't know Marie had passed away, so it's her account. But it's not her account if she's deceased. So, okay, so I start keeping track again. I want to see what pattern, but nothing on the cell phone. So now why they start calling me again after a month and a half? That's the big question here. There's got to be a reason for it. What did they... Okay, say they don't know that Marie passed away. They discussed and said, well, even though he put litigation in, it's her account, so maybe they said, well, let's call. Since he's the one that put it in, well, they start calling. It was like 4 times a day. It started out a couple, then it was 4 times a day for a whole month. It was over 80 calls. I waited a couple weeks. I wanted to see, well, what happened, because I knew there was a case in. I have a lawyer. I knew there was litigation. So what do they do? Retaliating against me? Because I'm the one that has it. It's in my name, the litigation. The lawyer's in my behalf. So is that what the calls are for? I guess so. So again, I contacted him. I told him. He didn't seem too worried about it. He just said he'll reach out to them. He just sent me a note back real quick. And I told him about it. And then... I think it still went on for about another week. I don't think he contacts them that much, those lawyers. So I told him to still call, and he said he'll reach out to them and make them stop. And the calls did stop. So I don't know what's going to happen now. So it's up to the lawyer. That's why I say you need legal help. You can't just do this by yourself. It's not going to work. You do your part, and he does his part. And Merrick Bank did their part, but if they wouldn't have, there wouldn't be no litigation. They wouldn't have made those calls. I guess it's the cost of doing business. Some cases they might have to pay, so that's what they do. They're trying to collect. I mean, are you getting a credit card and they give you credit and all, and you're a good customer, you pay like you're supposed to, you pay all their add-on fees and everything else, and this is what they do? Then they harass you? Is that a good way to treat a customer? If you can't pay, you can't pay. But they think you can, I guess, or don't want to pay. Why would you? Why would you want to mess up your credit? especially with us. Finally, after all the years, finally our credit was pretty good. It wasn't bad. We had our credit scores. Marie was better than mine. That's probably why she got that offer. I didn't. Because we had another, I think it was a Visa. We each had an account with the bank. And every month they would send you your credit score. I liked that. So when we got the bills in, I said, oh, Marie, your credit score is a little better than mine. Our credit scores weren't moving that much either way. Because we were paying all the bills on time, but we had too much credit. That was nice about that one, that, you could get the credit score every month. You didn't have to get it. They automatically gave it to you from the previous month. So that was a nice thing to know. So everything, works, that way with these credit card companies. Like I said, they really think they have power over you once they give you that credit. But Merrick Bank or any of those banks are not above the law. They're bending the law. They're circumventing the law. They got lawyers too, So this is what happens, what can happen. I don't know if anybody out there is having this problem. I've been after Merrick Bank, because of those calls in January of this past month. That's when I started all this ranting, on social media. Because that really ticked me off. Everything stopped. The litigation is in. Now I'm getting all those calls. Now I'm getting the calls on the landline. All the different numbers, the 6 different numbers they use, the same way again. Same thing, except they didn't call me on Sunday. I'm surprised. That shows you they have different levels, I guess. Different patterns or what they use, Once that's set up, I guess they can change it, They can change the way they want to call you, because when they were calling me on the landline and the cell phone in November of 2019, they called on Sunday. Not a lot, maybe 2 times. But now, in January 2020, they just called on the landline and no Sunday. Why is that? I wonder why. Harassment. That's why. They figured they'll start with that. That's set up. So on Saturday, I'm getting 4 calls. Maybe towards the end of the day. Mostly more afternoon and evening, right? Close together. Sunday, no calls. So what are you gonna think? Well, maybe they stopped. Maybe the lawyer got to them. Whatever, So then what happens? Monday, no calls. Till Monday afternoon. And then they got you all relaxed and at ease, and bam, then hit you. Huh? They tell me that's not harassment? 4 calls then close together. Then Tuesday, then went all the way through then. Keeping the calls coming. So if that's when I got upset about it, and that's when I started to do, like I said, this is what I'm doing now with all these videos about Merrick Bank. Not necessarily them per se. If they're going to say they're going to try to go after me for defamation of character, they can't. They don't have no character. How can they? If what I'm saying they're doing, and that's why they have litigation against them, so they can't even accuse me of defamation of character. That's a joke if they try to do something like that. Because I know they can't. Because that's the problem. They're doing all these things like that, and it's part of their business, I guess, that they're running, because everything's, it's on computer and all. They have all the records of everybody, they have all your information. And my information, everybody that has an account, you have to give them that. So, what they do with it, well, hopefully they keep it safe, Well, now this is the problem right now that I'm having with them. Because if there's any, I guess, settlement here, I'll let everybody know about it, because so you can know what you can do, that you can do something. Don't be afraid of doing anything, because you're having problems. Well, it's making it worse, them calls, isn't it? I know, I wouldn't want to be hearing those calls. Especially all the things I'm involved in right now. Like I have a whole bunch of videos already posted on YouTube, and I've been sharing it on Twitter. But I stopped all that right now. I put one here and there. But I kind of stopped it because I'm doing all this now. This is the 10th one. You know, I'm doing this Invisible Man, you know, versus Merrick Bank and the robot. This is the 10th one of them. You know, I'm talking about the same things. It is about the harassing phone calls. I may allude to other things. Like today, I alluded to the difference between invisible and transparency. You know, and you know, I thought it was similar, but it's really not. So again, these banks. Well, I gotta say, Merrick Bank and other banks are definitely not transparent. Because if you're transparent, you're ethical. And they're using unethical tactics, so it can't be. I just want to bring back to what I started with, you know, in this video about that. What's the difference between invisible and transparent? So you might want to check into it and see what you think about that premise. But yeah, so I pretty much went over everything. But remember now, the lawyer that I'm using, he's a consumer advocate attorney. He's for us, the consumer. He doesn't charge for his service. So be glad if he'll take your case, because you have nothing to lose, but you do have a lot to gain, because he'll give you your life back. You won't get all those calls. You might even get some money out of it, and you make them hold them accountable. That's the whole idea behind this. So I know he's very good. I had him last year and now this year for all the cases that I had. And I wish I could pay him. But that's why I say I do endorsements of him. And I testimonials like what I'm saying now. Look, I'll give you his name and number, which is going to be in the description, but I'll give it to you. Paul Mankin. That's MANKIN. Toll-free number 800-219-3577. That's 800-219-3577. Why don't you give him a call? He's there. Now, he is in San Diego, California. And I'm in Philadelphia, so it makes no difference. Don't let that, you know, discourage you or anything, because I'll be putting his address in the description. So it has nothing to do with it. It's a toll-free number. Remember, you deal with them by email and all that, and by mail if you need to, you know. If you have to mail you anything, because he mailed me a form from one of the banks, I had to get it notarized and, you know, send it back so he could pay me. So, well, it seems funny. Instead of me paying him, he's paying me, because he gets the money when there's a settlement, if there's any money, and then he cuts you a check. So keep that all in mind. Yeah, so I said I like this attorney, and I'm glad I have him, and I want to know he helped me a lot. I don't think I'd be doing as good as I am, because dealing with those banks and all like that by myself, I don't think so. Because I mean, you see, that's what I tried to do in the beginning. Before I found him, I sent the cease and desist letters, and they seem to stop the calls temporarily. Creditor don't have to abide by that. This is the law again. A debt collector does. They call that letter a drop-dead letter. Well, that's this expression they use, you know. Now, speaking of expressions, zombie debt. I don't know if you heard of it. I mentioned it. That's what this is. The account that I'm having problems with, Merrick Bank, that's a zombie debt now. Because Marie passed away, so that debt is uncollectible. Any debt that's written off or past the statute of limitations, and these scavenger debt collectors might buy them in a bundle. They might get it off the court records or something, and they try to collect it. It's a zombie debt because it's uncollectible. They breathe life back into it. I mention these things that, you know, might be of interest to know. You should know. Okay, now remember again, if you get this lawyer and he does stop the calls, that doesn't mean you still owe the debt. You still owe it until the statute of limitations run out. And I know in Pennsylvania, I've said it before, it's 4 years. You can easily find out what it is in your state. All you got to do, look it up online. Statute of limitations for your state. That's all. Once you know that, and it doesn't, like if you have an account, like if I had an account, one of them accounts that I had, if I opened it 4 years ago, it doesn't count. It counts from the last payment. So that means this was a few months ago now already. So the clock is running on that now. So, less than 4 years from now, those debts are legally forgiven for me anyway. But the problem is, it's on the statute of limitations in Pennsylvania is 4 years, but on the credit report, I think it's 7. So it's on the credit report, so you know how that does, what that works. That messes up your credit. But again, time will pass, like I'm right now, after all this, I think I had enough credit for a while. I'm in my 70s. I don't want to start getting any more credit now. That Merrick Bank is the last account for now, as far as I'm concerned. I don't, the trouble is, it's nice if you pay as you go. You won't have all those bills, and you won't be paying all those fees and late fees and interest and everything else. You use your own money, but sometimes you don't have enough money to buy the things that you need, and that's what causes that. Like right now, something, I mentioned it before, something's really ironic right now what happened. He passed away, money's cut in half now, than I had before, and I don't have enough. So I'm trying to get, this attorney got me some money, that helped me. And I got some rebates and different things like that, that helped me, to get by here. And then I was thinking of clinical trials. I saw them advertised, and I said to myself, I don't know about clinical trials. Do I want to be a lab rat or a guinea pig? So I looked into it online. You can just look up clinical trials. And there's a few of them. So I tried one. I figured I'm depressed. I called them up. They said, you want to come in? I said, yeah. So they picked me up and brought me back. And they're far from where I live at. So I went there. I took the tests and all. It was more mental. A lot of, they asked me all this kind of stuff. And then they told me I didn't qualify. I said, what? He said, you're not depressed enough. I said, well, I guess because I wasn't taking medication. I've been depressed so long, it's normal for me, But they gave me a check for $100. So fine, they brought me back home, so I get some money there. I went to another one. It was something to do with the heart, And it took me a while. I ended up having to go myself, though. And boy, the tests they gave, so many. I had all kind of tests. Well, the blood pressure, the blood work. I had a walk test, a 6-minute walk test. I had a EKG. I had an ultrasound of the heart. I said, man, these tests. And then after I waited about, I guess it was a week or so, and I contacted them. They said I didn't qualify. I said, why? I'm too healthy. For that particular clinical trial, I said, man, this is, I don't know, it's not going to be that easy. I tried another one. I called up and they said, you want to? I said, I'll go right away. I don't want to waste any time. So I called up and they told me, well, gave the address and all. The driver will pick you up, bring you there. So I went for the tests and all. Filled out all the questionnaires and the blood work and all. And it was for the knees, I said, my knees don't really bother me that much. I figured, am I going to pass this? Yep, I qualify for it. I guess because of my age too, So they gave me a smartphone to keep a diary. So I said, oh, okay. And this is for like 6 months. And it's like $100 every time you go. And they gave me a MasterCard. Can you believe it? I have a MasterCard now. That's good. It's a debit card too. I've already used it. No problems at all. Plus, I'm getting all these tests, I found out that, like I think I mentioned it, that my knee isn't that good. I might need a knee replacement. I didn't think it was that bad myself, but I qualify for it, so this is going to go on for months now. They paid me already for when you first go, the $100. They uploaded it on the MasterCard. It's a clinical card. And it can be used just like a regular credit card, no problems. I went again for another, when I got the needle in the knee and all the tests and questionnaires, I got $350 that day brought me home and brought me back and all that. And that was pretty good already on the money there, you know. So I picked up some extra money every time I go now. It's like $100 a visit. I'm not taking the medications, nothing. So at least I found a clinical trial I can work on. It's not paying me as much as I'd like, but in the meantime, I don't have to deal with a bank like Merrick Bank or any bank to get a credit card. See, I could get a credit card like that. That's still a credit card, isn't it? It's my own money because I earned it. I'm submitting to all the tests and all. So now I can see if I can get in. They have plenty. See, once you're in, like I'm with that company now. They're located in Jersey, so I can go for the flu, huh? That'd be a good one. I don't know about this virus that's out there now. They've got clinical trials for that. I don't think it started yet. The coronavirus. So there's one that I think I might be able to get for obesity, because I am a little overweight. So yeah, if you need some extra money, it's something to look into. There's plenty of them, but still, you still have to qualify. You know, they have one where I'm going. I was talking to them about, but I can't do it until I get done with this one. I think it's for a sleep study. You have to stay there for like 3 weeks. They feed you and everything. You don't have to pay for the test. It's like $300 a day. So you can pick up like $6,000, but they're not going to pay you until you're done with the study. There's other studies like that. Schizophrenia, that's one. They pay. Another one pays like that. You have to stay there, though. That's an inpatient one. I'm just saying, I'm just mentioning this because it has something to do with this credit, you know? I don't need to put up with that. I mean, there's ways to get money like that, you know? And that's what I've been doing. So, I can... Nice. Actually, I have 2 of those cards. I have one from when I went for the heart. They pay me that way. Sometimes they give you a check. I guess if it's a one-time thing. But when I went for the heart study, they gave me a card there, too. That was $150. And they put it on the MasterCard, clinical card, they call it, a Clin card, and then for this one for the knees. So I just mentioned that, so anybody out there is having problems, and say, you know, you can't pay the credit, and you're gonna, you know, your credit's getting messed up, and you want credit, well, remember that the card, I won't be getting any, you know, if I want a statement, but I mean, I won't be billed. No finance charges, no late fees, nothing. And no Merrick Bank either. So I just thought I'd tie that into this whole thing that I've been doing, you know, about harassing phone calls, you know, and credit cards and all this stuff, you know. So again, I think I'm going to wrap it up now. And this, like I said, this is an Invisible Man versus Merrick Bank and the robot. This is part 10. Now, I've done plenty of videos before this. This all started right in January when they started to call me again. So I don't know how many more I'm going to do. I'll continue to do this probably. I don't mind doing it. You know, I can discuss other things, you know, like I've been doing. You know, I'll allude to other things. But there's like so many things that, you know, you need to know. Again, the phone log, that's very important. You keep that. If you're getting calls from any bank, including Merrick Bank, keep a phone log, the day, the date, the time, the bank, you know. And if there's more than one phone number, keep both phone numbers. But I think, you know, keep all that in mind. Because one of the videos I did in the description, I actually gave an example of the phone log. So it's something you have to pay attention to. Because when I do these videos, I concentrate on certain things different, you know. I allude, like I said, to a lot of things. Again, if you want to look up these videos, they're on YouTube. You could look up harassing phone calls, and you know what's going to happen. You're going to see mine come up. It's going to be mixed in with other ones. Most of the ones that you know about harassing phone calls, they're only 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 5 minutes, but mine are much longer. Because I'm more interested in trying to help people, you know. I really want to help consumers out there, just like me, you know. I'm a consumer. So remember, the lawyer, I'll give you his name again. He's a consumer advocate attorney. His name is Paul Mankin. M-A-N-K-I-N. Toll-free phone number, free consultation. That's 800-219-3577. Again, 800-219-3577. I say, give them a call. You have nothing to lose. Okay, well, that'll be it for now. I'm going to sign off. And have a great day.